Hi, I'm Kimmy Rose, and this is your weekly vibe and mantra for May the 26th through, listen, June the 2nd, 2020 AD. And wow, it is beautiful outside, just a gorgeous day. And we're here in Michigan. Still, Michigan's really, we had a lot of things going on, a lot of people going through a lot. We had this huge dam break, and people homeless. Thank you, everybody who wondered where I live in Michigan. Luckily, I am not near that, but we still have a lot of reports of COVID. And so a lot of people have been asking me what I feel. Well, part of the weekly Vibe and Mantra this week is about some of the astrological things that are going on, because I have been getting these vibes about the president. And not in a bad way, not about bad things about him, but actually his purpose and the role that he is playing in being the president right now. And one of the things that I always choose to see is that no matter how much I don't like or may not always approve of certain things, it's not up to me. Fate takes its place, and I have to trust that there's a divine order in everything that happens. And whether I like someone or not, it's not for me to project what you should think. It's only for me to share what comes in intuitively. So I try to put personal feelings always aside, and I always do that, and I bring in the energy of the divine. So I'm really excited to share with you the energy for this week. The energy this week is really interesting. The first thing I can say is it is a Venus retrograde, and we've got Gemini coming through, and I've got a Gemini moon. In case anybody didn't notice that, I like to talk. And with that brings a lot of energy that can be kind of like looking at yourself and recognizing, whoa, I am responsible for what I feel about myself. In other words, my thoughts of myself, you're going to start seeing this, that how you feel about yourself is a projection of what you're creating. So the energy that you are creating, your thoughts, your actions, is actually what you're manifesting in your life. That's cool. When I looked at the astrology, because I'm looking at Venus when it's retrograde, it's going backwards, so it's reviewing things, and it's saying I want to take action. I want, it's dealing with looking at relationships, interactions amongst people, but in Gemini, it's a communication, and at the degree it's at, it's saying me. Look at how you, me, not me telling you, but how do you create your reality? Because you are ultimately responsible. Even if someone is narcissistic, if somebody has been kind of playing you and creating, you're like, oh, it's they're making me miserable, blah, blah, blah. I always have to say, wait a minute, if you know that, why are you staying? Your mental health is much more important. Money is just a vehicle that moves us from place to place, but your mental health can literally destroy you if you're not careful. And why do I know that? I had a call from a wonderful doctor who, because I came down with this terrible cold and I had a fever, they tested me for the coronavirus, and he said, you have had 11 viruses through you. You have fought them off. You have a very strong, sense of, what doesn't belong and how to transform it. And I do. I mean, I will say when I close my eyes, I get in touch with my body, and I'm like, no, my mind's stronger than you. Whatever you are in my body, you're moving out of me. And I was able to break my fever 3 times. But the fact that it keeps coming back is telling me, as I told him, I said, I feel stressed out. Like, this is not me. I don't like get chest pains and anxiety so bad that it literally like freezes me. I'm a person that can deal with a lot and it may be bothering me, but I keep working. I mean, even through having a surgery, like C-sections, operations, I'm literally on the phone working. I'm working while I'm in bed. I mean, I'm a strong person that way. I don't let, it has to be something majorly big to pull me down. And I'm not going to say what it is, but I did. I said that out loud. The only thing that could pull me down is this, and boom, that's what happened. And it pulled me down. I can say one thing, being a mother is the most important thing to me. And my sense of the choices I made as a mother, which were ones I had to make. And many of you moms out there, I know you can understand if you were born in the, like maybe the late 50s into the early 70s. You know, many of us, we had no choice but to take care of our family, and we had to give up that security of having someone in our life who would provide for us and our kids. And we had to make choices to remove ourselves from situations because of safety. And if you did, I'm just going to tell you, more power to you for being a strong person. I was able to do that. I didn't have to work anything, but I said, this is not healthy. I am in a situation where I'm being told, if you leave me, I'm going to kill the dog. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, just crazy things happening. And it was really draining me. But when I saw that it was draining and affecting my children, that was it. You know, not all of them remember, but the older ones do. I had to pull out. I will not let this affect my children's mental well-being. And so when I pulled out, and I said, I hope that you can find someone who can love you the way you deserve to be loved. And that is a truth. I read this wonderful book called Love Without Conditions, Reflections of the Christ Mind, and it talks about that. It talks about really being unselfish. And even so, when somebody might be behaving badly to you, sometimes it's because they have had things. And I would do that. I'd go, wow, like he's been through so much in his life. And his childhood was not the easiest childhood. So I understand why he might react this way or feel jealous or feel this need to like keep me like this. And it's because he's so afraid of losing, because he lost his dad and he could never really be in touch with his dad. And so I had a lot of compassion for him. But what I didn't have was compassion for myself. I rode more on the story of what was good for him, and I didn't see that what was good for me. And it began to drag me down to the point where I had hives all over my arms. My nerves were bad. And I remember my mom saying, what happened to my daughter? Where are you? I mean, you were pregnant and you walked that path by yourself, Kim. What has happened? And I remember thinking, I have to change this. I have to change it. And I did. But I didn't do it exactly the way I would have wanted to, because like a lot of young women, I went looking for that comfort, found it in someone else, and I should have divorced and been on my own. I did do that the second time, and that's why I had a second divorce, because it was the wrong reasons to get married. But that's okay. It was a lesson, and that lesson is one that I can sit in front of you and say, you know what? I'm an intuitive, but I make mistakes too. That's how we learn. Mistakes are building blocks of knowledge, self-awareness, open heart. And when you allow your life to be guided by compassion, you become the co-pilot to passion. And when you become the co-pilot to passion, you know, there's this knowing, like, I can do this. And I remember feeling so strong, and that being such a wonderful part of my life. It's like I was like moving. I was in the height of my career. I wrote 2 books. I published another book, 3 books. I created over 50 CDs. I created to the point where when things started kind of like going downhill, because here I'm like teaching about waking up, yet I'm neglecting the things. I'm sleeping because I'm like on this path to help everybody else. And I forgot about my own unit, my family. The ones that, I gave birth to. I didn't forget about them. I loved them. I made sure that they had someone who loved them and took care of them. But the mother that I was before was a mother that said, I'm not going to send my kids to a babysitter. I want to raise my kids and be there. But because of the person I chose to be with, he wasn't capable of providing me that ability. And that's not his fault. I mean, he was very honest, straight up honest, like, hey, this is who I am. And I chose being with him because of his wisdom, a very smart person. And I could see in him his ability to do bigger things. The problem is I should have just accepted who he was. Because by the time he was a certain age, he could get set in your ways. So I could see his capabilities. But it's not my job to drag him along and say, push, do this, do that. Even though my intentions were the greatest intentions in the world, and I still see that in him. But I can't do it for him. And I learned that I'm doing all this stuff and I'm getting tired. And then what am I missing out on? My children. So I saw, wow, here's the passion, the compassion I had. Became a co-pilot of passion. A dog is having a dream. And what I had to do was balance. I had to balance things in my life. And I'm like, how do I change this? And then I started, instead of working towards the relationship, I went to my kids, and I had 2 other children, and I saw the difference of how my kids were treated. And I remember it was always the girls, and then he would be like the other kids. And I was like, that's just not cool. That was the thing that really pulled me away. It's like, you treat them so different. How can you treat them like that? We should treat all people alike. And I judged that harshly. And instead of looking at myself and saying, what can I change? I started making him the focus of all the blame. And that's not the way it works, because when you are a partner, you are a co-pilot. And so one of the things I want to say is, know that you're who you are. You reflect a certain vibration, a certain energy, and that's what you get. So I looked at it, I'm like, wow, before I was reflecting this energy, wanting to be present with my family. That's what matters first to me, is raising my kids, because they grow up. And trust me, I have 3 older children. They're doing their own thing. And man, I got this major empty nest syndrome now. Okay, that's me. That's one of my biggest challenges. But because I perceive my nest as empty, and you let that fear guide you, what happens is you create all kinds of reasons that your kids are going to keep that nest empty, and it becomes this big balloon. And I said, I gotta slow this down because I'm gonna be going through this Venus retrograde, and unless I take responsibility for what is creating the things in my life, what I created, because I can't control anybody else. As much as I can see things, I know, like my family, my partner, they're not asking me for my guidance like other people do. I need to be in touch with my own inner compass. And this is what I'm sharing this week. It's so important that you get in touch with your own inner compass. I share the story about the teeter-totter, like standing on the teeter-totter and allowing each side, you're in the middle, to balance, and like your core is the balance point. Your core is everything you are, everything you feel. It's literally the spiritual essence of you. And so if you put your hand on your heart, hand on your navel, you can feel your core. And the minute something starts to tip it, pay attention. Start asking questions. This thought I have, and then see if it throws you off balance. And then if you want to ask another question, it'll give you a good guideline with knowing what will work for you and what will not. And my book, Wake Up Your Intuition, is all about exercising your neurons, your neurotrophins in your brain. We have these amazing, they're so amazing. Our brain is so powerful. We only use, most people use less than 24%. Go figure, right? Like, look at dogs. You know, they know when their owner is like down the street. How do they know that? Because their sense and their awareness is hyper aware. So what we do is we dumb ourselves down because we rather Google than feel. So one of the things I tell people is exercise, tasting. I taste a lemon. I can smell a lemon. I feel the texture of a lemon in my mouth. I can see the lemon. I can hear it when I'm squishing it. And if you can exercise all five senses all the time, and how do you do it? Like, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about you. I'm seeing somebody who's actually sitting and they're like on a park bench and they're reading this and they've got glasses on. They're kind of adjusting their glasses to see it, thinking, I need to get rid of the scratch off my screen. That's what I'm actually seeing. Like, I know that person is actually there. I really believe that Jesus, when he sat and he would talk to people and he told the story of the blind man, that blind man was there. Like, he could feel people. He could bring in, like, somebody who's watching this is going through such horrible pain in their life, and they're saying, I want my kids back. But because you believe that they won't come back because you're this bad person who made a mistake, that's what you're getting. Forgive yourself. I asked that question once to someone who, like I've been asked about narcissism, who is a very narcissistic person. And I said, how do you forgive yourself so easily? That was a pretty strange question to ask someone. And he goes, I don't know, I just do. I know, I can. And so I'm saying, forgive yourself with your conscience. If your conscience is telling you that I'm going to forgive myself and I'm just going to do that all over again. The thing is, your conscience is even deeper. Your conscience is a part of you that knows the truth. It's your soul. It knows. It has that feeling. Have you learned the lesson? So what I did was I said to myself, and this wasn't long ago, I forgive you. I know what your intention is. Your intention is good, but because you do not honor and care for yourself, you are creating a whole lot of energy of people who will not honor and care for you. Even the people you love, they don't see you caring for yourself, so why would they care for you? You're getting what you put out there. And so the only limits, this is so important to remember. So this is the energy that's going on, and I'm going to just sum it up. Really simple. The only limits you see are the ones you impose on yourself. So the only limits you see are the ones you impose on yourself. You are creating your reality. We are in a time period that's going to last for 3 years. Guess what? Venus retrograde's not going to stay that long, but that's the vibration. This is the new awareness. It's the same thing with when you wear a mask. You're not protecting yourself. When you wear one of those masks, it's saying I honor other people because you're protecting others, not yourself. So you may go out there and say, I don't need this, I'm a rebel, whatever. Well, try to think about it. Maybe someone else may really have a low immune system and can get sick even just from a common cold and may not get the coronavirus, but maybe you're protecting them from being sick.
It's just forming some chords and some walls. I'm static without the ends, and every breath of hers was a thorn in his eye, and every petal's blushing red. It's all my feelings